Alright, so we are logged into the cloud instance of my n8n workspace, and you can see there are some workflow already available over here. What you can do to follow me in this lesson is you can click on this create workflow button to get a fresh new workflow and start following the steps that I'll be taking. For myself, I have this workflow to how data works in n8n as a template workflow already created. There is nothing inside the canvas. You can see it's blank, just a sticky note is there where I have outlined the business process that we are going to automate today. So you can see over here that in your business, you may have an operator or a person who is looking at various orders which are being submitted, which are in different states that are still open in nature, not shipped or delivered to the customer. And that person could be manually reviewing those orders to look at whether they are in processing stage, whether they are in pending state, whether they are in cancelled or refunded state. This person would be manually taking decisions like if the order is pending, then he or she needs to alert the service team via email. Maybe there is something pending at the customer side, so you may want your customer service team to reach out to the customer for pending details so that the order can be released from pending state to processing state. Now there could be another condition where the order is processing, it has been few days and it's a high priority order and you would like your operations team to quickly expedite the shipping of it. But that should not happen via email, rather a Slack instant message should be sent to the team where they are watching such orders so that the prompt action can be taken quickly. And the third scenario could be the order is cancelled or refunded, and that time you want an official email record as well to go to finance team for their records, as well as you want them to notify on Slack as well if there is a situation like end of month cycle is running, which is important finance time where they would like to have or consolidate everything that has been cancelled or refunded. So in that case, the finance team would be part of a Slack channel or a Microsoft Team channel where they would be receiving these instant messages. If a person is doing all this stuff manually, that means that person have to evaluate all these orders. They have to keep a track of what they have done to which order, whether they have been sent it to customer service team, whether they have sent it to finance team, whether they have notified the operations team. So they need to keep a log of all this activity, and all these manual activity may be prone to error or maybe taking a lot of time, maybe 2-3 hours easily a day. So let's jump into n8n and automate the entire business process without writing a single line of code. So I'm back on the canvas. So first step, we all know that we have to add a trigger. So for this particular use case, we have to fetch the orders. I'm going to use a Google Sheet that has all the order data, and I'll quickly show you that as well. So this is my Google Drive, which is already connected to my n8n workspace as I've showed you in the previous lesson as well. So this mock orders data is the sheet where the sample data is present. If I double click on it, so it opens up. It has an order ID, first name, last name, customer email, order status, and order date. If I exclude the header, there are 100 records which are there. So now if I go back to my workflow, what we have to do is we will start with something called manual trigger so that we can test out this workflow. But this is a workflow which is happening every day in your business. So hence something like on a schedule trigger is a perfect candidate for this kind of a workflow where you can put this on a schedule trigger so that it runs every day at a given time, maybe 10 a.m., 9 a.m. or 11 a.m., whatever time suits your business needs. The workflow triggers every day, processes all the stuff and notifies the respective department accordingly. So what I'm going to do is, for now, let's put this manual trigger in. Next step, what we have to do is we have to fetch the order. So for that, we are going to use Google Sheets Node. Mention sheets, so you can see Google Sheets Node is over here, and what we want is, as an action, we want to get the rows from the sheet. So now you can see the node configuration screen has opened up. On the left hand side, it's all input, and we have when clicking test workflow. So as soon as that test workflow button is clicked, the workflow will begin. So nothing is being inputted, it is going to output the records that we are going to fetch. So I have already set up a credential. I'm going to use that same credentials I've shown you in the previous lessons as well. Resource, we are going to use sheet within a document. In this case, the operation should be get rows because we want to fetch the data from the document. And then what we want is document is from a list or a URL or a ID. We will say by list because we have already connected our Google Sheets account. So now I'm click on choose. So you can see all the sheets which are present in my workspace or my Google Drive are already available over here. And we saw that this mock order data was part of it where our sample data lies. And finally, we have to select the sheet in which that order data is. So there is only single sheet, so I'll select order data. And now what you can do is you can also have some sort of filters. You can combine filters, multiple filters could be there. You want to filter out certain records that you do not want to fetch in this workflow, you can do that. You can apply some filters but for now I'm going to fetch all 100 records. So as soon as I click on test step, you can see that all 100 items are basically fetched. There is pagination at the bottom, so you can click on these different pages to see. You can change the page size as well. If I want like all records, it will show me all 100 records on a single page itself. So you are seeing this data in JSON format. If I click at the top and click on table, you would start seeing the data in a tabular format as well. Again, this data is more structured in nature. It is built of rows and columns, hence it is easy to view this data in a table format. So if I click on JSON, you can see that it is starting with a square bracket. That means it's a list. So everything in n8n is a list of items processed through nodes. Even if it was a single order or item that was returned from our Google Sheet, even then that single item would be enclosed in this square bracket, because n8n expects every item or every input coming into a node to be a list of items, even if that means a single item. So over here we have 100 items in this list. All of them are following the same structure because you can see all the properties are same in nature, but JSON provides us flexibility to have different type of structures as well. And we will see later in the lessons that we will be building more and more complex workflows where different type of structures are there for these kinds of objects. Now let's examine this JSON a little bit further. You can see that each item has certain properties and each item is treated as an object. So there are 100 items, that means there are 100 objects in over there, each with these 7 properties: row number, order ID, first name, last name, customer email, order status, and order date. So going further in the workflow, we will be using dot notation to access these properties, because we want to work on something called order status property, because we have to base our logic on order status. For example, if it is pending, processing, refunded, cancelled, that's where we have to build all our logic. So let's go ahead and build the logic. This particular node is configured, data is coming successfully. So we'll go back to our canvas. You can see 100 items are being outputted from the Google Sheet nodes. And then what we are going to do is we are going to add something called a switch node. So in the past examples or lessons, we have seen if node produces binary output, 0 or 1, true or false. So there will be like 2 branches coming out of if node. That's what we saw. 1 true branch, 1 false branch. If the condition is true, the item goes in the true branch. If the condition is false, the item gets filtered to the false branch. But in this case, we have 4 different scenarios to work with. 1 is pending status, 1 is processing, 1 is refunded, 1 is cancelled. So in this case, we cannot use if. We can use if block, but there'll be like multiple if blocks that we would have to traverse it to. But n8n provides a simple way of branching out or filtering out this kind of data using switch node, in which we can add different rules for different branches. So what we are going to do is we are going to have some routing rules configured for this particular thing. We are going to work with order status. So value 1 is equals to value 2. So basically the value 2 is the output value, what we want to configure or what we want to evaluate. So here we want pending. So first we have to act on pending. So I'll just write pending as text. So it's a text thing. So you can select over here as well whether you are working with string, number, date, time, boolean, array, or object. And different comparisons exist for string. There are so many of them. Contains, is equals to, does not contain, starts with, does not start with. Number again greater than, equal to, you can see a lot of them. Date also different types of operations. Boolean does not exist, exist, empty, true, false, more like if and else. Array again, length is greater than, length is less than. So many comparison exists based on the type of object we are working upon. But here we are working on simple text object, hence I'm going to use string. String is form of a text, so I'll just leave it over here. And string equals to pending, and what string needs to be pending is order status. So we are going to click on this and drag it into the value 1. So you can see now the format has changed for this text box from fixed format to an expression format. So expression format is something, as soon as this expression format is enabled, you can can use double curly braces in n8n to access the scripting language, which is JavaScript over here. And you can see at the bottom the tip says anything inside double curly braces is JavaScript, and you can write any form of JavaScript. So if you are hands-on on JavaScript or any kind of programming language and okay to learn JavaScript as well along with all what we are going to learn in this lesson or course, well, you are going to build some very complex workflows in a simple manner. But again, this course does not require any kind of prerequisite that you must learn JavaScript, because 99% of this course is going to be no code or very low code. Over here you need to understand that as soon as you drag and drop a particular property, it gets converted into an expression editor, and the expression editor would access the property that you are trying to target in a format something like double curly braces. And then you see over here that it says $JSON. Let me just delete this status property for some time. So now you can see that if I just write $JSON, it is nothing but it is a shorthand where you need to access the item. A single item can be accessed using $JSON symbol. It is equivalent to $input.item, which is more like this is an input that is coming. So this input is denoted by $input. And then if you write .item, that means you are currently accessing the current object this node is processing. So currently what object we are at or what item we are at is row number 2. So this is the first item. It is at the 0th index. If I go to the next one, for example, so you can see now $JSON is showing me the second item, which is in this row number 3, and so on. Like you can, traverse and preview the results of what items this node is processing. And as we have already talked about that if you're going to input 10 items into a particular node, it is going to process each single 10 item based on the logic that you have configured. Hence every single order in this case is going to be processed through every routing rule that we are going to configure, and the output would be based on the rules that we are going to configure. So that's what I wanted to show. So you can see now object notation can be there because I have got access to the item. So item is an object, and then we can write dot, and you would see all the properties that are over here. I can use first name, last name, order date, order ID, order status. So we are interested in status, so I'll click on this. So now order status is over here. So what we have done is JSON.order status is equals to pending. Then a branch should cut out of this switch node. What we have to also do is let's rename this output to say pending orders. This way, the branches this switch node is going to create, we will know which branch is which. Otherwise, it is going to just use output 1, output 2, output 3, and then we'll get confused. So it is a best practice to rename the output so that you know what routing rule is applied to that particular branch. So for this, I have written out pending orders. Let's quickly add the other one as well. Again, I'll copy this and I'll put it over here. So as soon as I put this, you can see fixed to expression, it has been converted. Next was processing. So I'll just write processing. I'll rename the output for this one too. Then third one again, I'll rename this to cancelled. So this one we are checking cancelled. So these will be cancelled orders. Then I'll click on add routing rule again, and I'll say again this one order status is equals to refunded. And for now, I'll just leave this rename output just to show you what happens. So if I click on this, so you can see 13 out of 100 orders are pending orders, 22 are processing orders, and then like you have 9 cancelled orders and 20 of them are output 3. So that's what I was trying to say, that if you are not renaming the output that is there, then it is going to show output 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you will be confused that what kind of output these are, and you have to open up switch node again and again from your canvas to understand what these output means. So that's why it is important to rename the output. So now I'm going to say refunded orders, and I'll click on test step. All right, so we have refunded orders as well. You might be thinking that all this does not sum up to 100 orders. Well, because you have other statuses as well. For example, there is shipped, there is delivered as well. So there are whatever is left over maybe belong to other status. So in that case, what do you do? Well, at the bottom of this switch node, you have this add option, send data to all matching outputs, fallback output, and ignore case. So fallback output is something that you must configure in a switch node, that in case no condition meets, what do you want to happen with your data? So in that case, you can just simply ignore it, stop the workflow, or you can have some other logic built for it. For now, we want to just ignore it, so I'll leave it blank. Another important option over here is this ignore case. We want our workflow to work error free, right? In your system or worksheet, somebody might put refunded in small case, right? Or all caps. But over here, we have a particular casing. So I would like to ignore the case that is being used to compare the order status with the value that we have entered. So hence I'll just use ignore case and I'll just test step again just to see everything is working fine. Everything is working fine. This green tick means that node has executed successfully. Now we'll go back to the canvas, and now over here we can see that there are 4 different branches on which we can act upon. For the first one, that was pending status, we want an email to be sent to our service team. So for that, I'm going to use my Amazon SES node that we configured in the last lesson as well. So I'm going to click on this Amazon AWS SES. So this is being used to send email. You can use send email node as well and configure it based on the SMTP parameters or SMTP configuration. So I'm going to use send an email. So the credentials in my SES node is already configured. I'm going to use my AWS SES account. I've already configured, set it up. Next is we want to work on resource. You can work on other resources as well. For example, custom verification email template or a custom API call. But we are interested in sending an email. We want to have an operation of send, not send template or a custom API call. We don't want an HTML based body. Here we have to mention the subject. So in this case, we want customer team to act upon. So we'll just say order, and what I'm going to do is drag the order ID again. Okay, so order ID, order this. So order ORD001 is in pending state, and in the body you can say, I'm just writing a simple text over here. You can write whatever body you want. You want to have a HTML body, you can put that as well. From email, this should be ideally an email from where the email is going. So I can say no reply. And this is the to address. To address would be the address where you would like to send the email. It should be a distribution list, which is more like a group email, which is accessible to all the service team members so that not single person is looking at that email box. That's the general practice. So for this example, I will just use a Gmail one where these emails can be delivered. That would be GenAI. So we have the to address also configured. So I'm going to run this step. All right, so all the emails have been sent over. You can see the message IDs has been received for them. We can go to our inbox to see if the emails have come or not. I can see the count over here. All right, you can see all the emails have come from no reply, and now my team can go in and check for this detail. So the first manual step is already automated and we did not write any kind of code over here. Now let's go back and automate the second step as well. So now I'll go back and I'll pick this branch, which is like processing branch. So if I click on it, we have to send a Slack message. So I'll use Slack node for it. And if you have not watched the video of configuring the Slack credentials on my YouTube channel, you should go and watch it so that you can set up or integrate your Slack workspace with your n8n workspace. And then you can easily send these Slack messages to any channel that you want. So I have already configured it. Go and watch that video. I'm going to use send message action. So I click on it. You can see my account is configured with both type of credentials, token based and OAuth based, and I have talked at length in my YouTube video. So go and watch that video to understand how these two options work and why these two options are needed. So I'll just select the OAuth because we are sending a message. We work on resource called message, operation is send, and where we want to like send to a particular channel. We don't want to send it to a particular user because our entire operation team is going to watch on it. And when I click on select channel, so there is cancelled refunded orders channel, there is high priority processing orders, and we want processing orders to be monitored and expedited quickly for shipping or delivery. So I'll just select this channel, and message would be simple. Message is simple text message. You can use blocks, you can use attachment to attach file, you can use blocks. Blocks are combination of a template that can be sent in a Slack. I'll cover this type of message, this type of block message in some other lesson of this course, but for now we'll just use the simple text message. So if I click the test node, all the processing orders should go through it. So you can see 22 items are there. So this node is going to process one by one all these 22 items and send them as a Slack message. So if I go to my Slack channel now, this is high priority message, and if I scroll down for today, so you can see it's today, this order ORD0 is high priority but still in processing state. That's what we wrote. Please take a look into this order. Because my workspace of GenAI Unplugged is already integrated with Slack, like I said, go and watch that video on YouTube channel to configure that. So that's why I was able to quickly send these messages over here. So the second part of our business workflow is also automated. Now let's go ahead and look at the third and the final part. So in the third and the final part, what we want is we want both cancelled and refunded order to be sent as an email, as well as we want a Slack message as well. So both these nodes will be used again. So I'm just like going to use copy. You can see, click on it and you can Control C, which gets copied to the clipboard. You can paste it over here. Again, I'm going to use the same thing for Slack as well. So this gets pasted over here. So now you can see that I have two nodes copied over here. We still have to configure it. But what I'm going to do is from the cancel line of things, I'm going to like click on this and it gets inputted into again my email sending node, because we have to send an email to our finance team. Again, I'll select this dot, which is more like a connector of our switch node of cancelled branch, and I'll again drag another line into Slack node. This means that I want cancelled operation to perform two types of jobs. One, the cancelled order should be sent as an email to finance team. The other one, cancelled order should also be notified on Slack message. That's why I dragged out two branches out of it. And the other part that you have to do is, because we want the same actions to be performed on refunded as well, so I'm going to drag two branches out of refunded node or refunded branch too. So I'll select this arrow over here, or maybe like plus icon is still here. So I'll just drag it into over here. I think I have to use this, and I'll drag it into the send email, and again I'll use this and drag it to over here. So this at the bottom, you see tidy up option is there. This will make it a little pretty, make it more organized. So I'll click this and this has organized it a bit. So now we are still left with the configuration of these two nodes. We have connected the cancelled orders to both send email, post message. On the same action nodes, we have connected the refunded orders because we want both these branches to have same kind of action or output. So now I'm going to quickly open the email thing. So you can see email is there. Now in this case, we'll say pending. Instead of pending, we'll say refunded / cancel. Order number, this is refunded / cancelled. And what we will do is, we don't need to connect with the customer in this case. We will just notify. And again, no reply. I'll leave the same configuration because I don't want my account to be penalized for non-deliverability. So I'll click on the test step. This node would get executed and we would have 29 emails being sent right now. So as you can see, run 2 out of 2 has 20 items which were refunded orders. So if I click on this, you will see 1 out of 2 run is 9 items which was for cancelled, and the other run was for 20 items. Now if I go back to canvas, I'll click on the Slack node. Again, it has 2 branches coming in, cancelled orders as well as refunded orders. We want to send a message, but this time we want the message to be sent on cancelled and refunded orders channel. So I'll click on this. I selected the channel over here, simple text message. So now I'm going to click on test step. So it has started sending the messages on this particular Slack channel. And again, you can see 2 branches happened. 9 items were sent in the first branch and 20 items were sent in the second branch. Now when we go on to our channel, so we'll go to the cancelled or refunded orders channel. And if I look at the latest messages, so you can see all these messages are coming from recently. They are sent today. So you can see all these messages are sent successfully. So by this, we have configured the entire business workflow that person was doing manually without writing a single line of code. Before we leave, let me introduce to a concept of branching. So if I go back to my workspace, so this is the workflow that we built. There are 2 types of branching that n8n supports. The first one is where each of the branch follows a different path. So over here, you can see from switch node, we had 4 branches and we want 4 branches to have 4 different type of operations. One was sending an email, other was messaging, other branch we wanted email and as well as Slack message. However, the second type of branching is where at the bottom we see cancelled orders and refunded orders. So this type of branch, what we want is anything that is coming out of cancelled branch must split into various actions. we want all the items to follow multiple actions or apply multiple types of operations. So in the cancelled order status or refunded order status, we wanted all the items to follow two paths, not just single path that we followed for processing and pending orders, but here we wanted each item to follow two paths. So that's a different type of branching where the items are not split into different branches, rather the item follows a series of multiple branches and gets processed and final action is taken. So in this case, cancelled orders, each item got an action of email performed as well as Slack message performed. Same was true for refunded as well. So that's the two type of branching that n8n supports, and it is very important concept to understand so you can easily build some of the complex workflows in n8n. So that was it for this entire lesson, where I wanted to give you a deeper understanding of how data flows in n8n, how data can be processed, how it can be parsed, how a logic can be applied on it. I hope you have better clarity on JSON, on what data is, what lists are, what items are, how data is flowing in n8n, so that you are ready for rest of the lessons in the course. So as a homework, what you can take in is, right now we used refunded and cancelled in a single message. Maybe you can apply some sort of a logic so that you are not communicating to the team that this order is cancelled or refunded, rather you are sending a appropriate message that this order was cancelled, this order was refunded, instead of using cancelled/refunded. If you have any question doing this kind of exercise, let me know in the comment section or the discussion forum of this course. So I'll see you in the next lesson, where we are going to deep dive into some of the very important nodes that exist in n8n, so that it lays the foundation for rest of the course, where we will be using these nodes again and again. So I'll see you in the next lesson.